Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. When I decided I wanted to really study Japanese, I had no idea where to start. I knew I wanted to live in Japan long term and language school seemed like the best way, but choosing one felt overwhelming. Tokyo, Osaka, small cities, tuition costs, visa paperwork, it was a lot. But eventually I found my school, and looking back, I'm glad I did. This is my story of how I chose it, what it was like, and what I would recommend if you're thinking about doing the same. I first came to Japan in 2019 with the US Navy, and then after my contract was up, I left and then came back to Japan a year later to attend language school in Fukuoka. My full Japan story is in my previous video, so check it out if you'd like. At the time, I'd been self-studying with apps, books, YouTube, but I wasn't consistent. Honestly, I needed more than just studying. I needed a structure, a routine, and a visa. I knew that if I wanted to take living in Japan seriously, I needed the foundation of the language school.
I just can't tell you how proud we all are.
I looked at many ways to come back to Japan after I left the Navy. There's a work visa, student visa, spouse visa, etc. Since I was in the military, I had benefits to go to school for up to 4 years. They had a couple of universities in Tokyo where I could use my benefits and go to school, but I could only be there for 2 years. I had to go back to the US to finish the school, and I didn't want to do that. It seemed better to just study the language and use those benefits at another time. I had met my wife before I left Japan, but we weren't ready to get married just yet, so we weren't going to just so I could come to Japan. Since I wanted to learn the language anyway, it felt right for our situation for me to get a student visa so I could live there and not rush our relationship. I still believe it was the right choice. My first step was the internet. I looked at websites, read random blogs, and honestly, a lot of them looked the same. Pictures of smiling students and big promises. Some schools had flashy sites, some looked kind of outdated, but I realized that the important part was hidden in the details. Tuition, schedule, how many hours per week, and how they supported students with visas. Another huge thing that I learned, they actually changed this rule very recently at the end of 2024. Before you can even apply now, all schools require proof of Japanese study. So that either means 150 hours of a Japanese course or taking equivalent tests like the JLPT or something like that. At the time, I didn't have either, so I spent months finishing a 150-hour online Japanese course from Conran Japanese Language School so that I could qualify. It was frustrating at times, but looking back, it actually gave me a solid foundation before I arrived. So if you're planning to study in Japan, that's something you'll need to prepare for. Don't skip it, because without it, schools won't accept your application anymore. In the end, I chose a school in Fukuoka. The reasons were pretty simple. The cost of living was way better than Tokyo. The city felt like a balance, big enough to have everything I needed, small enough to feel comfortable. It was also closer to where my wife's family was, so we'd be able to go visit. The school's program seemed pretty straightforward. 4 hours a day, clear structure, and a good support for students coming from abroad. The big one is that they support your visa. So to be able to have that visa to stay in Japan, you have to have a school that will support that visa for you. So they sign on and they say, yes, you're coming to our school. We looked at lots of different schools, and not all of them do that, so you need to look out for that as well. It wasn't about picking the best school on paper. It was about what fit me and my situation at the time. Each school has different programs. Some are aimed to focus on passing the JLPT, getting a job, or going to Japanese university afterwards. The one that I chose is a general Japanese course, and that's just an everyday life type of Japanese course, and so they don't focus on the test. Of course, they do help you if you still want to take the test, because most people do anyway, but it's not focused strictly on taking the test. The school that I ended up choosing is YMCA Fukuoka, the Tenjin branch. They have 2 branches. The Tenjin branch has the general course that I was talking about, and the Nanakuma branch has one to set you up to go to Japanese university afterwards. If that's your plan and you want to go to Fukuoka at this school, you need to go to Nanakuma branch. They help you get into school, and the course is set up that way. They also help you with accommodation. They have dorms and even apartments set aside for students. Some even have meal plans included. Now, I don't have a lot of footage from inside the classroom, but picture this. Every afternoon, a group of students from all over the world sitting in a room, speaking broken Japanese together, slowly improving. The pace was fast, the teachers were strict, but encouraging. Homework was heavy. I feel like I was always doing homework. It wasn't always easy. There were days I felt totally lost, but by the end of the program, my Japanese had jumped to a level I couldn't have reached on my own. And the experience of being in that environment, living day-to-day life in Japan while studying, was something I'll never forget. Looking back, what mattered most wasn't the flashiest website or the biggest city. It was choosing a location I actually want to live in, finding a program that fit my pace and my budget, and making sure the school was responsive and supportive during the application process. And of course, making sure I had that 150-hour course done so my application didn't hit a dead end. If you're thinking about studying in Japan, my advice is, don't stress about finding the perfect school. Focus on what makes sense for you. If you want to know more details like tuition, visas, or what daily life was really like, let me know in the comments. I might make a follow-up video going deeper into that. Thanks for watching. This was my experience choosing a language school in Japan, and hopefully it helps you if you're considering the same path. If you enjoyed this or found it helpful, subscribe for more videos about my life here in Japan. I'm always adding new things, new experiences, so be sure to check them out. I'll leave you with a few clips of my life in Japan.